share some more Am I the Arsehole posts, so I hope you enjoy. The first one is Am I the Arsehole for saying I don't want to be called Aunt? My 32 female father is 20 years older than his younger brother David, 34 male. Due to various factors, David spent a majority of his early years with my parents. By the time I was 10 and David was 12, he moved in. David and my dad looked nearly identical, and people always assumed that was his son. My parents always said he was their first kid, they loved him like a son, etc. I always felt a bit weird about this. David is a nice guy, but he's not my brother. I never understood why it was my parents' job to pick up the slack of my grandparents. It caused a few disagreements in my youth that always boiled down to David has nothing, you have everything, be nice. I hated that I essentially went from an only child to a younger sister without being asked. I never looked at David as a brother, but obviously due to our small age gap, I never saw him as an uncle. To me, he's just family. We get along well. David is now married with a daughter, Aria. My parents are grandma and grandpa to her. It does make me feel some sort of way that they've christened her as their first grandbaby, but I've accepted I can't control how they feel and relate themselves to David. So long as when my husband and I have kids, they're the same to them, and I know they will be, that's fine. The real issue is that David, his wife, and my parents have tried making me Aunt Tabitha. I don't like it. Aria isn't my niece. I tried to just refer to myself as my first name with her, but the hint wasn't getting through. As Aria is too little to speak, 8 months, I plan to let it go for now. Yesterday we were at my parents for Christmas. Aria was being fussed over as usual. When it came time for David and his wife to help her unwrap the gift my husband and I got her, David told Aria, "This is from Auntie Tabitha and Uncle Mike." Without thinking, I said, "Just Tabitha and Mike." David gave me an odd look but went back to unwrapping. Later on, privately, David asked if I was okay. I said yes, why? He said I got weird during gifts. I said not weird, just factual. I'm not Aria's aunt. He was still confused. I said I'm not his sister. This seemed to hurt his feelings, but he said okay, apologised and said he'd never say it again. My mum pulled me aside later and said I was cruel to David. She said he considered me his sister. I simply said I'm not, and I'm not that baby's aunt. My mum gave me a disgusted look. She and my dad barely spoke to me the rest of the night, though David and his wife were polite. My husband feels there were better ways of going about it. Am I the arsehole? I wouldn't necessarily say she's an arsehole, but it does feel like she has a lot of resentment for David, even though it's not his fault that his parents couldn't look after him for whatever the reason is. And she clearly resents her parents for looking after him anyway, but he was a child. It just seems like she has a lot of jealousy for David because he's taking away her parents' attention, and I just think as, how old was she? A 32-year-old woman, you would probably have grown out of that by now, but clearly not. Like, there's nothing wrong with her not wanting to be called Auntie Tabitha or Aunt Tabitha, but I just feel like there's no need to be like, oh, you're not my brother, she's not my niece, because does it really matter? Like she said, because like she said, she doesn't think of him as her uncle or her brother, just family, whatever that means. So does it really matter that she's not your niece or that he's not your brother? Like, why do you keep saying that? It shouldn't matter because they're your family anyway, and you've been raised together like as siblings. I just think that's weird. Like, clearly, actually I'm taking it back, I do think she's an arsehole. Because why does it matter? Like, just simply say, oh, could we just be called Tabitha and Mike? And then you don't need to be referred to as Auntie, but like, I just don't think you need to be that rude about it. Anyway, the next one is, would I be the arsehole for not allowing my dying cousin to walk down the aisle? My 27 female cousin, 23 female, was diagnosed with leukemia and is not doing well. I feel terrible for her, but I was never close to her growing up. We grew up in different countries. I'm getting married in March 2024. My aunt came over 2 weeks ago to discuss something. She wants me to let my cousin walk down the aisle with her dad before I walk. I don't feel comfortable with this because yes, it's sad that she won't get to experience this, but isn't it my day to shine? My aunt says that I'm being selfish for not doing this. She spoke to my parents about this and they don't seem too happy. My in-laws are not pleased too, but they still want me to decide. My fiancé doesn't feel comfortable too. My aunt brought my cousin to my place to discuss selfish and a bridezilla for not caring about her. Like I said, we were never close, so I don't know why she's trying to do this on my wedding day. I told her I needed more time to think, so she's on Instagram posting cryptic stuff, obviously attacking me. I talked to my friends for non-biased opinions and they were divided. Some want me to allow her to walk down the aisle because she could never get to experience that and I'll be doing something nice. Would I be the arsehole if I say no? This is just weird. Like, of course she wouldn't be the arsehole if she said no. I don't know why they're asking that of her. I've said this before, I held no value to like weddings or anything personally because I just don't give a fuck. But I obviously understand that some people put a lot of value on their one wedding day that they may have, or maybe multiple, who knows. But they put a lot of value on their wedding day and like they want it to be all about them and blah blah blah. So of course they don't want someone else walking down the aisle. And as like selfish as that does sound, like no one kind of wants a bit of a downer on their wedding. Why didn't they do like a party kind of thing where they hire out a venue or a church if they want to allow her to walk down the aisle with her dad and have their family there, and then they can celebrate her before she dies, rather than like hijack someone's wedding? Like, that's just a bit weird. And obviously a lot of people aren't going to know who the cousin is, so they're just going to see this random woman go down the aisle. And let's be honest, if she wants to be walked down the aisle by her dad, 100% she wants to be in a wedding dress. And so if you say yes to walking down the aisle and then they go, oh, do you mind if she wears a wedding dress? She's then got to say yes to that as well. And then this wedding day actually really becomes about her, which it's not. Like, I could never imagine asking a cousin that you don't really even speak to that kind of thing. Like, I know they obviously think she's dying, but like, unfortunately that doesn't mean that everyone owes you everything. Like, as harsh as it is, everyone else's life doesn't revolve around you. Yeah, I don't think she's an asshole if she says no. I think it's weird for the aunt and the cousin to even ask. The next one is, am I the asshole for telling my daughter-in-law her being poor is not my problem and to stop judging about the 75 plus under the tree? I'm wondering if I'm justified or not. Everyone came over for Christmas. I have 14 grandkids, then all of my kids, 5, everyone's spouse and all of the older relatives. The kids get 3 presents each. That's 42 gifts just for the kids. There are 17 adults and I get them 2 gifts each, so 34 gifts in total. Then I get 9 gifts in total of the pets in the family. I'm not counting any gifts from my husband and me or any of the gifts I got from all of my relatives. If I did, it would be around 100 under the tree. As you can see, it's a ton of gifts and I start shopping for everyone at basically the start of New Year's. Also, young kids are so easy. Anyways, I put everything under the tree and it's a mess each year. My issue is that one of my daughter-in-laws, the whole night she kept going on about not being able to get many presents for their 2 kids. At the adult table, she started ranting about how I made her look bad to her kids. Her husband tried to make her stop and she told him someone has to tell this bitch. I had enough at this point and told her that her being poor is not my problem and to stop judging the amount of presents. The dinner went on and the kids had a wonderful time. My son wants me to apologise. Excuse me. The son wants her to apologise, not his wife for calling his mum a bitch. While what she said might be a bit harsh, I don't think it makes her the arsehole in this situation. If you feel like you can't provide gifts for your kids, would you not be happy that someone else is able to and that your kids don't miss out? And it doesn't sound like she's getting everyone like a ridiculous amount of gifts. She said that the kids get 3 and the adults get 2. They could be small things, like she's not putting a monetary value on those, so they could be little things. It doesn't seem like she's going overboard. If you have a big family was 7. She had a daughter, also 7, from a previous relationship, Diana. Me and Diana did not get along. Diana was spoiled, and to adult me, it was obvious she resented not being the only child anymore. She took it out on me. She would break my toys and steal my stuff and lie to get me in trouble. I would complain to Dad and Tina, but they told me to get over it. If I did the same, I would get punished. It only got worse as we got older. I felt abandoned by my dad. I often felt lonely in my house, so I guess you guys can see who the golden child was. At 16, Diana spread a nasty rumour about me in school and I almost got expelled. Diana got caught lying and got suspended. Of course, Dad and Tina blamed me for this. That was the last straw for me. I rang my cousin, Shyla, from my mama's side and told her what's been happening. She came over to my house, angry at Tina and Dad. She gave them a piece of her mind. Dad said if it bothered her so much, then she was welcome to have me. That was a blow to my heart to hear my own dad say that to me, so me and Shyla went to pack my stuff. Diana's room was open and she was sitting on her bed smirking at me. We got my stuff and we left. I haven't looked back since. Over the years, Dad or even Diana tried to contact me, but I would block all attempts. Now a week ago, Shyla visited me. She told me that she got a message from Dad for me. I was surprised she even mentioned Dad since she knew how I felt about him. She told me that Diana was in a fatal accident and didn't make it. She said he was wanting to talk to me. Shyla handed me his number and said it's up to me. I did ring him out of curiosity more than anything. He didn't even recognise my voice, but when I told him it was me, he broke down crying, and most of the time I couldn't make sense of what he was saying. When he calmed down, he said my sister died and it's time to come back home and make things right with each other. I asked what sister. I have no sister. He started crying and saying don't do this, she doesn't deserve this. This enraged me and I let out all my anger, hurt and frustration I had felt towards them and ended with I don't care if she had died. My girlfriend who was beside me took my phone off me and ended the call for me. Glad she did before I had said any more. She told me later that I could have been more understanding. I've had time to think over and wonder if she is right and I am the arsehole. Okay, I wouldn't necessarily say he's an arsehole, but it was a bit harsh. But I can understand where he's coming from and why he would say that. Because realistically, why would he care that someone he's had a real hatred for, or has had a hatred for him, and has kind of like broken his family up, has died? And he's been treated badly by his dad. Why would he now want to go and fix their relationship just because his dad's stepdaughter has died? Like, that doesn't make a difference. You're still acting the same way and you still feel the same way about him. So why would he bother going back? And the fact that the dad said she doesn't deserve this on the phone kind of shows that he's still putting her before the son. So he's clearly not ready to fix the relationship, is he? And I understand why the girlfriend ended the call, and probably that was for the best so that he didn't say anything else. But I really hate when partners of people kind of try and diminish what parents put people through. I don't know, obviously, how much she knows and how much he's shared with her. But it's just so annoying when people say, like, oh, it's your dad, it's your mum. Like, for example, in this situation, if she were to say, oh, but he's your dad, like, maybe you should go and see him and try and fix the relationship because he's your dad. Like, no, he hasn't done anything to show that he's a good dad. And he even, like, basically sent him away, was okay with him leaving at 16 as well. I don't know, I'm going on a rant, but it just pisses me off that people think you owe your family certain things just because you're related to them. You're not. It's the people's actions that are important, not the fact that they are your family. But yeah, I don't think he's an arsehole. Maybe it's a bit harsh, but what else was he gonna say? The next one is, am I the arsehole for the meltdown I had on Christmas Day, which caused my dad's wife to cry? The background starts with my mum dying. I, 17 female, was 11 and my sisters were 16 and 18. Our dad met his second wife a couple of years later when I was 13. The expectations for my relationship with her and my sisters were very different. My sisters were expected to be civil, but if they weren't close, it was no big deal. But almost everyone, minus my sisters and minus my mum's family, expected me to see my dad's wife as some second mother or maternal She signed us up for mother-daughter things. She would get hurt when I didn't want to go and would never ask my sisters. I asked her before why she expected me to do these things with her, but she never invited my sisters. She said she was raising me and wanted to be a mother presence in my life, but they were grown. I told her and my dad on separate occasions that I didn't want or need and wouldn't accept someone else into that kind of figure. I was ignored. I had a small run-in with my sisters when Dad was getting married because I said he shouldn't, and they said he should be allowed to move on, and Mum would want him to be happy. When I explained what was going on, they realised why I was feeling that way. They tried talking to Dad, but it did no good. My dad's side of the family would all make comments that I was lucky to have another mother figure, or how I didn't seem to give her the care and consideration she deserves. They would ask why I seemed to spend no time with her of my own free will, or why I was never loving toward her. My dad told me I should show her more love and affection, and he told me I made her feel left out when I didn't tell her stuff, or when I made plans with others but not her. I know some people would love to have someone like this in their lives, but I want the same relationship my sisters have with her, but more is expected. So Christmas Day came and everyone was at our house for Christmas, minus my mum's family. My dad and his wife gave me a card from my parents, and my sisters got them with Dad and his wife. Then when it became time for family photos, we got one with the three of us and Dad, but then my grandparents wanted me in the family one with my dad and his wife, but my sisters weren't expected to be in it. I tried to step out and my dad's wife said it wasn't a family photo without their kid. This was the point where I lost it and I told her I'm not her kid. She's not my mother figure, that she's Dad's wife just like she is to my sisters, and I want it to be that way. I said I do not love her and hate how they all treat her like she suddenly became a parent to me. My sisters were on my side, but my dad was furious, and his wife cried and cried harder as I continued. Am I the arsehole? This one's really difficult. Of course, she's not the arsehole, but I can kind of understand where Dad's wife is coming from. Obviously, it's great that she wants to be involved in her life, and she wants to do things with her, and she obviously has no animosity towards her, like some stepmothers do. However, if the kid doesn't want it, she should have never been forced to do anything with her dad's wife, and then maybe eventually she might not have felt this resentment towards it, because this isn't what she wanted. Like, all kinds of relationships go two ways. Like, obviously both people have a say in how the relationship goes. If one person doesn't want it to be the way the other person does, then you can't force them. She was 13 when her dad met his second wife, and to be honest, that's not really that young, like, to need a mother figure. Of course, everyone of all ages could potentially need a mother figure at any point in their life, but she obviously didn't feel like she needed that or wanted that, so that shouldn't have been forced on her. But I do think it's weird that she doesn't want to be there for the other sisters, because while they're adults, they're still your husband's children. I always see this, that like step-parents or parents' second marriages, they always see the older kids that are adults as not their problem, or like they never try and make an effort with them when they are still the person you're marrying or the person you're with's children. And just because they're over 18 does not mean that they don't need any parental guidance. And I just resent parents thinking that once a child is 18, they don't need you, or you don't need to do anything, that you can just switch off from being a parent. But anyway, that's besides the point. But I guess if the wife in this situation kind of was treating all three of them equally, then the younger one wouldn't have as much of a problem. But because she's treating her like her own kid, but the other two not, that is causing a problem, because she doesn't want this relationship with her. She wants it to be how it is with the other two. But yeah, I'm sorry, you never blame the child in this situation. I know she's 17 now, but like, you don't blame a child in this situation, it's the parents. Sorry, I always try to keep my thoughts like concise at the end, but I end up going on rants. And every time I film this, I tell myself not to do it, and then it happens anyway. So I'm sorry if that's really annoying, but there's always timestamps in the description. If you get to the end of the story and you don't want to hear what I have to say, there's always the timestamps so you can skip ahead. Kindle she's been talking about for several months. This was a relatively big purchase for me, as my family normally handmade gifts and cards or focuses on smaller, more personal items for holidays and birthdays. My girlfriend's family is the opposite and appreciates more expensive gifts, and she has gotten me very nice things in the past. Because of this, I decided to spend a bit more than I normally would to buy her the Kindle she's been mentioning. It came a few days ago, and when I received it, curiosity and excitement got the better of me, and I took the package out of the Amazon box it came in. I broke the seal of the box the device came in and pulled the Kindle out, still in its plastic wrap. I looked at it to make sure it was what I ordered and almost unwrapped it, but eventually decided to stop messing with that gift and put everything back in the best I could. I ended up mentioning to my girlfriend that I'd bought her a Kindle a few days before I was planning to give it to her. This is the nature of our relationship. Normally I tried to keep it a surprise. And she asked if I'd opened the box. I told her yes, I'd opened the Amazon box and the box it came in, but left the actual gift in its plastic wrap. Edit, I put everything back as it was, and if I hadn't told her, there was no way anyone would know I'd opened it. I didn't break any seals or anything. She got angry with me and told me I might as well return it because I had essentially opened her gift for her. I asked her to confirm that she wanted me to return the expensive gift I got her because I'd messed with the packaging, and she said yes. In her family, everything was left exactly how it was before it was opened by the recipient. I told her I wouldn't mind or notice if someone opened the packaging for me because the gift itself is what matters, and she told me I wasn't listening to her side and that I should return it or give it to my sister, who is an avid reader. So am I the arsehole for opening the package to look at the device before wrapping it? No. The girlfriend's an arsehole for being ungrateful. What does it matter if it's opened? It's just a box. And what kind of family are they that they expect expensive gifts? Like, that's fucking weird. Like, you could say it is a bit weird to open the present, but obviously because it's expensive, I would understand if someone had opened it, like, to check that it worked or whatever. If I was them, I'd return the gift and then break up with her because she's weird. The next one is, am I the arsehole for opening a fake gift during a family Christmas party? Every year my family does Christmas at my mum's, and she insists that we open all presents together, even gifts between spouses, etc. It's normally an okay tradition, but sometimes it can spark jealousy or comparisons between families. This year my husband saved up and bought me my dream designer handbag for Christmas. I know some people aren't into that, but it's something that I truly love. We're not well off, but we're not doing poorly either. But I knew that the handbag would cause a lot of discussion amongst my siblings and parents. I just didn't want their opinions and criticisms to ruin a special gift my husband worked hard to get for me. So this year my husband got me an extra gift that wasn't the real gift. It was a moderately priced skincare set. Christmas came and went without drama, but I recently posted a picture of my husband and our kids at dinner, and my handbag could be seen hanging off the back of my chair. One of my friends commented underneath about how gorgeous my Christmas gift was as well. Long story short, word got back to my family and they totally blew up. Some were annoyed that I opened a private gift separately from my family. Others were criticising the price of the gift. My siblings are now calling me disingenuous for harbouring a secret gift, and they said that I did it because I think I'm better than them. I didn't open it with them because I didn't want their opinions, but now I'm starting to feel like an arsehole for keeping it a secret. I knew either way they'd all criticise me though, since it was so much more expensive than all other gifts, so I don't know whether or not I'm wrong. What the hell? I feel like they couldn't have done anything right there. Because if they'd opened the bag in front of their family, they would have said that the gift was ridiculous and overpriced, which, by the way, who says that about someone else's gift? It's not your money, who cares? And then if she doesn't open it in front of them, like she hasn't, they're saying that she's harbouring a secret gift. Like, I'd just tell them all to grow the fuck up, because what adults give a crap about who opens presents where? Like, that's fucking weird. What is wrong with that family? Okay, the last one is, am I the arsehole for texting my wife, your sister is welcome to stay? My sister-in-law, 33 female, was visiting us from out of town and staying with us, 35 male and 35 female, for a week between Christmas and New Year. We were supposed to go out last night, but I got into a silly fight with my wife, so I stormed off and went home by myself. I won't get into the details of this argument because I accept the bulk of culpability for it, and it's not the point of this am I the arsehole question. It's probably worth noting for context that there has been simmering tension between me and my wife lately, to the point she brought up if it would make sense for us to take time apart. When I arrived home, I concluded it would be best for me to leave the apartment for the rest of sister-in-law's stay, which had paying exorbitant hotel rates in New York City during New Year's Eve weekend, whereas I have enough credit card points to make the out-of-pocket expenses a minimal consideration. Therefore, I texted my wife as follows. I'm leaving the house at 9 p.m. and plan to return on January the 1st. Let's talk in person then. Your sister is welcome to stay until then. At 8:45 p.m, I'd finished packing my overnight bag when, to my surprise, my wife and sister-in-law arrived at the apartment. Sister-in-law accused me of being extremely rude, taking particular umbrage with the last sentence of my text. Well, I said that out of consideration for you. I admit I am at fault for this fight with your sister, so I was merely offering to minimise the inconvenience to you, our guest, by my leaving instead, I responded. Sister-in-law declared, I'm an adult and you do not tell me whether to stay or leave. With that, sister-in-law grabbed her things and ventured off into the December night, a single woman with no plans in a city she's unfamiliar with, which is exactly what I feared and had tried to prevent. My wife is now mad at me for giving sister-in-law no option but to leave, by saying she's welcome to stay. I'm baffled because it was intended to be anything but that. Am I the arsehole for this sentence? I could have handled the situation better overall, but the sisters are convinced that my saying sister-in-law is welcome to stay is the chief offence of all. A second related am I the arsehole question. After sister-in-law exited, I wondered out loud to my wife, well, should I at least offer to book your sister a hotel room? But since sister-in-law had left to make the point that she's an independent woman, I did not pursue this option further, and now my wife is also angry about this. Am I the arsehole for not reaching out to sister-in-law and offering to book her a hotel room? Oh, it says C comment for context of original argument. I'm going to read this as well. Since people have asked how silly was the silly fight, we were supposed to go to a live music venue. Wife did not like the view from the seats we were given. I actually did not mind the seats. She made a scene about wanting to get different seats, but since the performance was sold out, they could not accommodate. She demanded a refund, which we got, and we left. Wife then blamed me for crappy seats. I was the last to arrive of the party, but only 3 minutes past the agreed time, which was 30 minutes before the performance started. She also blamed me for not standing up for her against the management. I told her I was tired of her being hypercritical and hypersensitive all of the fucking time, and stormed off to home. I was fed up and also not happy about having the evening plan abruptly cancelled, but in retrospect I should not have lashed out at her like that, and I've apologised to her about it today. Why did I feel compelled to add the last line? I've responded in another comment, but sister-in-law had made a big fuss about not wanting to impose on us, and said she was going to look into getting a hotel room for the last day or two of her visit, which I insisted that she did not do. Since the question had been discussed before, I wanted to make it clear my wish remained the same. Okay, that does actually add better context. I wasn't obviously going to say he was an arsehole, but the way he texted, like, she's welcome to stay, if she was already going to stay, why would you need to say that? But I can see now that he was saying that because there was previous talk of her going early, which he obviously didn't want her to do. So to be honest, that's strengthened my opinion that he's not the arsehole. And I hate to say it because I feel like I say it with every couple related, am I the arsehole? But oh my god, divorce this woman. What the fuck is wrong with them? Clearly the sister and wife were out and they were probably talking about him and like getting riled up, and so when that text came through they were then just jumping on it. Like, I can't think of any other way that they would get pissed at that text if they weren't already like bitching about him, and now they're just using that as a way to like shout at him. And also, how on earth is the previous silly argument that he was talking about his fault? Like, she was ungrateful for the tickets and moaned that they were shit seats of a sold out show, and then moaned that he didn't somehow beef with the management about getting different seats to a sold out show. Like, what did she expect him to do? And also, just because he's married to you does not mean that he needs to back you up when you're being unreasonable. Like, I'm sorry, the sister and the wife just seem like awful people. And it seems like they're in a relationship where the wife is making her husband feel like everything is his fault, and that even these little things, like, that's in no way related to him whatsoever. So how has she made it his fault? And I know this is me probably just being triggered, because this woman reminds me of my mum and the sorts of things that she would do. But oh my god, he needs to divorce this woman. Like, she just sounds awful.